My cousin Tiffany was jealous of my blessed destiny, so she stole the fortune anchor bead the old mystic had left for me. After that, her family actually struck it rich, and everything went their way. She went around bragging that she was a lucky star sent from heaven, while claiming I was the reincarnation of a jinx. I almost died laughing. Tiffany didn't know that it was actually a fortune eater bead. However much good luck she gained from it now, she would have to pay back tenfold in the future. Sarah, I can't wait anymore. Let me blow out the candles for you. My cousin Tiffany urged me with an impatient look on her face. For a moment, I was in a daze. There was no pain in my body. I could move my hands and feet freely, and the smell filling my nose wasn't formalin, but the sweet aroma of home-cooked food and cake. I realized I had been reborn. Snapping back to reality, I looked at Tiffany gently. Tiff, of course you can blow them out. Our birthdays are only one day apart, so you're a birthday girl today too. I was only one day older than Tiffany, but she always wanted to compete with me for everything. On my birthday in my past life, a fortune teller had visited our home. He said I had a blessed destiny and was a natural-born lucky star. Because this kind of auspicious fate was rare, the mystic gave me a fortune anchor bead, claiming it would ensure I stayed lucky forever. Tiffany was unhappy the moment she heard that. She pouted and asked, "My birthday is just one day after hers. Why don't you praise me?" The fortune teller just glanced at her, smiled without speaking, and then quietly disappeared while we weren't paying attention. From then on, Tiffany obsessed over the fortune anchor bead. That night, she snuck into my room to steal it. When I caught her, she threw a tantrum, rolling on the floor and crying, demanding I give it to her. Although I was only 12, I knew it was a gift meant for me, so I naturally refused. After that, she tried to trip me up at every turn. She pushed me into the middle of the road on the way to school, hoping I'd get hit by a car. She said she was taking me out to play, but really intended for traffickers to snatch me. She loved petty theft but always framed me for it. I consistently ranked first in exams, but she insisted I cheated and led the charge to isolate and bully me. But thanks to the fortune anchor bead, I managed to turn danger into safety every time, never letting Tiffany succeed. Until I turned 22. The university that had granted me early admission expelled me for no reason. My bank savings were wiped out overnight, my boyfriend broke up with me, and both my parents were hospitalized. With nowhere else to turn, I tracked down that fortune teller. Only then did I learn it was all a trap he had set. Approaching 70, he needed to sustain his life and luck, so he found me, someone born at the most young hour on the most young day. He first used a spell to open my spiritual gate, then used the bead to drain my fortune. The redder the bead got, the less luck I had left. Once it was completely drained, all the bad luck came crashing down. After I exposed him, the fortune teller flew into a rage. He trapped me in a glass jar and turned me into a human specimen, limbs severed. The pain caused my soul to leave my body, and after wandering for a few days, I returned to the day of my 12th birthday. This time, I decided to give all that luck to Tiffany. Just as Tiffany blew out the candles, an old man appeared at the door. He was hunched over, walking with a shuffle. It was the same fortune teller who had killed me in my past life. He looked at me, then at Tiffany, and finally asked in a raspy voice, "Young lady, is today your birthday? You were born around 9 a.m., correct?" I didn't answer him, so he extended his hand and started counting on his fingers. After a while, he grinned with a toothless mouth and told me, "Girl, you have a blessed destiny. You are a natural-born lucky star. In the future, you will surely rise to prominence and everything will go smoothly for you." Seeing me praised like that, my mom couldn't stop smiling. She hurriedly invited the old man to sit at the table and poured him a cup of tea. My Aunt Linda wanted to hear some good words too. So she pushed Tiffany in front of the fortune teller and asked, "Sir, what about her destiny? Tomorrow is her birthday. She was born around 7 p.m. Just like in the previous life, the fortune teller merely glanced at Tiffany with a faint, unreadable smile and said nothing. Then he lowered his head, took a bead from his pocket, and handed it to me. "Little girl, I've traveled north and south for many years, and this is the first time I've seen a destiny as full of fortune as yours. I'll give this bead to you. It can anchor your luck and keep you lucky for a lifetime." Seeing herself ignored, Tiffany was instantly unhappy. She pouted and glared at the old man. "Hey, you old geezer, are your ears bad and your eyes broken? My birthday is only one day different from hers. Why do you praise her and not me? She's not even as pretty as I am." After saying that, Tiffany roughly snatched the crystal clear bead and clutched it in her hand, refusing to let go. I didn't snatch it back like I did in my past life. Instead, I looked at Tiffany's outfit and flattered her. "Hey Tiff, that bead matches your clothes so well. You look even prettier now." Tiffany lifted her chin proudly and looked at the fortune teller provocatively. For a brief second, no one saw the sinister look in the fortune teller's eyes. When he looked up at Tiffany, he switched back to a benevolent expression. "Since you like it, I'll give it to you. Remember, this bead will slowly turn red. The redder it gets, the more robust your luck is. Just make sure not to let it get stained with blood." I listened with downcast eyes, silently curling the corners of my mouth. Tiffany wore the bead that very day. The next day on her birthday, she had a sudden whim to buy a lottery ticket. She ended up winning $10,000. $10,000, in our rural town at that time, was a huge sum of money. This made Tiffany incredibly smug. She ran over to brag to me. "Sarah, oh Sarah, didn't they say you were the lucky star? How come I'm the one who won?" Sigh. $10,000. I can buy so many good things. Uncle Dave and Aunt Linda were overjoyed. To reward Tiffany, they decided to use the money to take her on a trip to the city. Whether it was divine guidance or fate at work, when Tiffany arrived in the city, she didn't go to the amusement park or the mall. Instead, she wandered down a potholed road to a dilapidated courtyard house and told her dad to buy it. It was a small farmhouse on a 3,000 square foot lot. Because no one had lived there for years, it was falling apart, looking like an abandoned dump. Her parents couldn't understand why Tiffany wanted to buy such a piece of junk. Tiffany didn't explain. She just pointed to the phone number posted on the wall and made her dad call. The owner, hearing that someone finally wanted to buy his property, was so excited he rushed over immediately. Afraid they might change their minds, he even voluntarily dropped the price by $2,000. So Tiffany's family became the new owners for just $6,000. When this news reached our town, they instantly became the laughingstock of the community. Did Dave lose his mind? Spending that much money on a pile of rubble? That cracks me up. Exactly. He really thinks just because his daughter won the lottery once, she's a lucky star? Thinking buying trash will turn it into gold? I think he's possessed. Hahaha, it really is funny. Just wait and see, they'll regret it. My parents felt bad for them, and even went to persuade Uncle Dave to get a refund. $6,000. Why not save it for something useful? However, no one expected that a week later, Uncle Dave would suddenly receive a phone call. The other party notified him that his new property was being demolished for development and asked him to come process the compensation paperwork immediately. This news was like dropping a bomb on our village. Everyone was buzzing, sourly saying Uncle Dave's family must have stepped in dog poop to get that kind of luck, stumbling into a sudden demolition policy. Aunt Linda could finally hold her head high. She stood at the village entrance and shouted to those who had laughed at them. "You all heard it. Our Tiffany is a lucky star descended from heaven. She buys a piece of trash and it turns into treasure. We're getting over $3 million in compensation. You can all just die of jealousy." But the most excited one was Tiffany. She had proven once again that she was the lucky star. First the lottery, now millions in demolition funds for her family. Her ego was through the roof. Yet, she pretended to be distressed when she came to ask me, "Sarah, it's so annoying. Suddenly having such a huge amount of money. How should we spend it? Do you think it's better to keep it in the bank or buy a villa? If we buy a house, we'll have to move. I'm actually a little reluctant to leave you." Hearing the show-off tone in her voice, I deliberately played along with an envious smile. After getting the compensation money, Tiffany had her parents buy a house in the city with cash and used the remaining money to buy a car, becoming true city folks. That year, we were transitioning from elementary to middle school. Tiffany once again displayed the power a lucky star should have, getting into the city's top prep school with the highest score in the entire district. When this news came out, the whole school was in an uproar. Tiffany was usually a complete slacker, so the fact that she could crush so many straight-A students and take first place within 6 months was unbelievable. When she found out I had barely scraped into the same school with the lowest passing score, Tiffany led her parents back from the city, 100 miles away, just to brag to me. "Oh, Sarah, I didn't think the test was that hard. How did you get such a low score? You're usually so smart, but you couldn't even beat me. Looks like I'm the real lucky star." The immense joy made Uncle Dave and Aunt Linda unable to resist gloating. "Exactly. Our Tiffany is definitely the lucky star. That fortune teller wasn't entirely right. Your Sarah hasn't brought your family any good luck. Look at our Tiffany, she makes us look so good." My parents were already unbalanced by Uncle Dave's sudden wealth. Hearing these insults wrapped in boasting, they finally snapped and retorted sarcastically. "Teach. What's the rush? Wait until she gets into Harvard or Yale with top scores before you come showing off. Is it worth coming all this way just to brag? The roads in the country are dark and slippery. Be careful you don't drive into a ditch and forget who's supposed to be enjoying the good life." Being typical rural folks, Aunt Linda immediately heard the curse in my mom's words and jumped 3 feet high in anger. "How dare you, Susan? Cursing my family like that? With a heart that venomous, you deserve to never succeed in this life. A family of jinxes like yours should just rot in this countryside and stay poor losers everyone despises." When wives fight, brothers fall out. The 4 of them cursed at each other, and their former friendliness completely fell apart in that moment. Before this, I had warned my parents to just focus on living our own lives and not to envy others. But seeing Uncle Dave's family all the time, how could they not feel envy, jealousy, and hate? Now it was perfect. As long as the 2 families were estranged, when their bad luck hit later, it wouldn't splash onto us. As she left, Tiffany gave me a provocative look. That look clearly said, "Just you wait. Sarah, I'm going to make you lose miserably." I glanced at the fortune anchor bead on her neck, which had already turned red, and couldn't help smiling. I silently replied in my heart, "All right, I'm waiting. I also want to see exactly how you'll die." Tiffany and I were in the same school but different classes, yet I heard rumors about her every day. She slept through every class but managed to get full marks on every test. No matter how complex the problem, she could solve it at a glance. Combined with puberty hitting her, Tiffany blossomed. She slowly became known as the campus beauty queen and genius scholar. Teachers praised her brilliance. Classmates called her amazing. The tidal wave of compliments and flattery made Tiffany float on air, and naturally, she couldn't resist rubbing it in my face. She brought a few lackeys to block my classroom door every recess. On the surface, she was making small talk, but every sentence was laced with sarcasm. "Sarah, is the academic pressure too much lately? Look at you breaking out in acne. You're so ugly. I think these problems are so simple. Why are you struggling so much? TSK, only a 78? Don't tell anyone you're my cousin, it's humiliating. How about I tutor you? Rub off some of my luck. It's a benefit many people want but can't get." Success made her increasingly arrogant, but this time I didn't compliment her like before. Instead, I glanced disdainfully at her coarse hair and oversized clothes, snapping back. "Who wants your luck? Look at you, aren't you guys rich now? Can't your family afford a maid to help you with hygiene? Or a stylist to fix your look?" Ever since Tiffany's family spent that $3 million, her parents had been eyeing her scholarship money. They quit their jobs and just lay around the house every day, waiting for Tiffany to support them. Tiffany had tried buying lottery tickets multiple times since then, but she never won again. She didn't know that the reason she couldn't reuse the luck was all because of the bead. Any fortune that appeared was ultimately absorbed by the bead. The redder the bead, the less luck she had left, and the closer she was to disaster. Criticized by me like this, Tiffany instantly flushed red and explained urgently, "Who said my family can't afford it? I just got blown by the wind, that's all. If you don't know anything, shut up. Hillbilly." I scoffed coldly. "Stop posing. Aren't you a lucky star? How come you haven't won the lottery again? Tiffany, if I were you, I'd go for big money. Do you understand stock investment? Have you heard of mutual funds? You only know petty little tricks." A flash of confusion crossed Tiffany's eyes. She didn't react to what I said for a long time. After all, she was just a 13-year-old kid. How could she understand investment? But I did. In my last life, shortly after I got the bead, someone guided me in investments. I took my parents and followed the experts' advice step by step, and our family quickly achieved financial freedom. Just like Tiffany's family now, driving luxury cars, living in mansions, the multimillionaires everyone in the county looked up to. By 18, I had over 10 million in my personal account. After being admitted to a top university, I founded several companies and found a boyfriend I adored. We were a perfect match, like-minded partners trusted by each other, the golden couple everyone praised. Until I turned 22. Suddenly, someone accused me of theft, finding piles of jewelry and luxury goods in my dorm room. I recognized them. They were gifts from my boyfriend. But strangely, the man who had been whispering sweet nothings to me suddenly acted like he didn't know me. At the same time, my companies were inexplicably deregistered, my bank accounts were wiped to zero, and I went into debt. I fought to prove my innocence, but the school expelled me for moral misconduct. My parents couldn't handle the blow, and both ended up in the hospital, fighting for their lives. Then the house was foreclosed, the car repossessed, and I fell from the peak of life into the abyss, becoming a homeless wretch. Desperate, I found that fortune teller. Only then did I know it was all a trap he set for me. From the moment he approached me, all the good luck was just a smokescreen to open my spiritual gate. Once my good luck was sucked dry, all that remained was naturally misfortune. Relying on my memory, I wrote a stock code on a piece of paper and handed it to Tiffany. "Didn't you say you're a lucky star? Let's see if this stock rises if you buy it." Tiffany couldn't stand being provoked, so she immediately snatched the paper and crumpled it in her hand. For the next few days, Tiffany didn't come to parade in front of me, but I knew from the suppressed grin on her face that I was right. The stock had gone up. Following the trend of my previous life, that stock would have made her family more than 10 million. Tiffany probably held back her excitement to avoid me claiming credit or asking to borrow money. But she was really overthinking it this time. I did this only to make her luck release faster, to accelerate the arrival of her misfortune. Why would I want to touch any of that? Unlike Tiffany's secrecy, her parents had already loudly announced they were returning home to start a business. They bought abandoned land in our hometown and prepared to open a livestock farm. It was strange, other farmers' chickens and ducks were either sick or dying, but the ones Uncle Dave raised were strong as oxen with glossy feathers, selling for a high price the moment they hit the market. Seeing them rake in money again, the villagers were drooling with envy, emptying their pockets to invest in Uncle Dave's venture. They were willing to do the hardest, dirtiest work just to be involved. Some people ran to persuade my parents to apologize to Aunt Linda, saying maybe they'd share some of the profits with us. My mom scoffed at this and warned them to be careful, lest they lose even their underwear in the end. Hearing this, Aunt Linda just assumed my mom was crazy with jealousy, cursing them because she couldn't have what they had. But I vaguely felt that my mom seemed to know something. Tiffany's luck continued to manifest. During the high school entrance exams, the school exempted her from testing due to her excellent grades, allowing her to advance directly to their high school division. Rich kid, beauty queen, genius scholar. These titles turned Tiffany into a proud peacock, holding her head high everywhere she went, acting like she owned the world. In her sophomore year of high school, Tiffany bumped into an old lady on her way to school. With her vicious mouth, she scolded the woman harshly. She thought she might give the old lady a heart attack, but unexpectedly, she angered the woman so much it cleared a blood clot she'd had for over a decade. The next day, when the old lady brought her family to the school to thank her, Tiffany found out the woman was the mother of a real estate tycoon. And they had a grandson, who happened to be in our school, Tiffany's longtime crush. So, naturally, Tiffany became the daughter-in-law designated by the tycoon himself. He promised that after they graduated, he would send them both abroad to study, and they would inherit the family business and fortune. If the previous manifestations of luck only gave Tiffany a taste of being a lucky star, this news threw her straight into a honeypot, making her walk on air. Wherever she went, crowds of girls discussed her with envious eyes. What kind of lottery luck is this? How does she encounter such rare events? Anyone else would have been sued for everything they own. Which direction do I need to pray to for this luck? She's beautiful, gets good grades, her family is rich, and now a wealthy boyfriend is being hand-delivered by his parents? Did she save the galaxy in her past life? I'm tired of saying the word envious. I wish I could be in her class to rub off some luck and pass my midterms. Tiffany found me with a spring in her step, waving several early admission letters, and the engagement token the tycoon gave her. Sarah, open your eyes and look closely. These are things you'll never get in your pathetic life, but I can possess them all effortlessly. Can't help it, I'm a natural-born lucky star. You can't envy what you can't be. But don't be sad. If you can't make it in the future, come find me. Maybe I'll toss you some scraps. They say happy events refresh the spirit, and Tiffany was indeed glowing. Even the fortune anchor bead on her neck was emitting a faint crimson light. Catching my gaze, Tiffany touched the bead smugly. Sarah, the fortune teller was really accurate. The redder it is, the more prosperous I am. I wanted to share some luck with you, but reality doesn't allow it. Seeing Tiffany's smug face, I said faintly, Tiffany, don't you get it yet? This bead is sucking your fortune. Your good luck is coming to an end. Tiffany naturally thought I was cursing her, and her face instantly changed. How dare you, Sarah? I was even thinking of helping you later, and you curse me like this? Like mother, like daughter. You're just like your venomous mom, rot in the countryside. I looked down at the volatile Tiffany and shook my head silently. You can't save a ghost who wants to die. I warned her and she wouldn't listen, so what could I do? Tiffany turned around in a huff and accidentally bumped into a boy's nose. Watching the boy's nosebleed start, I couldn't help but think. The show is finally starting. Tiffany frantically tried to wipe the blood off the boy while clutching her chest, coquettishly blaming him for scaring her. Just as Tiffany's blood-stained hand touched the bead, I seemed to see a flash of light. Suddenly, something felt different. I watched the boy frown, shove Tiffany away impatiently and say, "Are you blind? You ran into me." Tiffany froze. Usually in her class, she was the center of the universe. Who dared to speak to her like that? Especially a boy. Shouldn't they all be worshipping at her feet? But right now, the boy rolled his eyes and pushed her away again. What are you looking at, you ugly freak? Get back to your class, looking at you makes me sick. Tiffany was completely stunned. She subconsciously retorted, I think you're the blind one. Do you not know who I am, or are you playing hard to get? I'm Tiffany, the school beauty. As soon as she said this, the whole class burst into laughter, especially the girls in the front, who looked ready to write ugly attention seeker on Tiffany's forehead. It completely shattered her confidence. She reached up to touch her face, then suddenly sprinted toward the bathroom like a maniac. Moments later, a scream that pierced the sky echoed from the restroom. Tiffany had turned ugly. Her originally fair face was now covered in crater-like acne and ugly spots. Her skin was as dry and shriveled as a dehydrated sweet potato, looking like a malnourished refugee who had weathered too many storms. Unable to accept this massive change, Tiffany ran back frantically to question me, asking if I was behind it. I glanced at the bead, which had returned to being transparent, and decided to tell her the truth. Let me tell you, that's not a fortune anchor bead at all. It's a fortune eater bead. Do you remember what the fortune teller said? The redder the bead, the more prosperous your luck. Just don't let it touch blood. Actually, he didn't finish his sentence. Don't let it touch blood, otherwise the bead will deactivate, and the fortune will be sealed. It means your good luck has zeroed out, and everything you once possessed will be paid back tenfold. For example, you were a multimillionaire, now your assets are zero. You were beautiful as a flower, now you're ugly as mud. You used to have endless praise and adoration, now you'll be spurned like a rat crossing the street. Tiffany didn't believe it. Impossible. You must be making this up. You're lying to me. I shrugged helplessly. What do you have left that's worth lying for? You're already a huge joke. Tiffany broke down completely. She pushed over my desk, roaring wildly. Impossible. This is impossible. I'm a lucky star. I still have tons of good luck. It can't disappear. I don't believe it. She really didn't believe it. She ran to find her usual lackeys, wanting to demand answers. She got nothing but cold ridicule. Tiffany, are you sick? Are we close with you? Get away from us. Unwilling to give up, she went to find the teacher. Teacher, I'm Tiffany, the one guaranteed for the Ivy League. I am. Before she could finish, the teacher snatched back the admission notice and unleashed a torrent of abuse. How dare you, Tiffany? It's one thing to have bad grades, but you dare to forge documents and fake official seals? Call your parents immediately, you're out of control. Like waking from a dream, Tiffany seemed to remember something and bolted out of the school. To watch the drama unfold, a few classmates and I followed her. We saw Tiffany running all the way to the city's largest villa district, only to be stopped by security. Where did this beggar come from? Get out of here. Red-faced and desperate, Tiffany pointed at the guard and screamed, Who are you calling a beggar? You watchdog, open your dog eyes and look. This is my house. Ha ha ha. That cracks me up. If you live here, then I live in the presidential suite every day. Go back to sleep if you haven't woken up yet. Stop acting crazy here. Tiffany was truly panic-stricken now. She shouted her house number, demanding the guard let her in. The guard simply pointed to a couple in the greenbelt with a look of disdain. You aren't with them, are you? Squatting on someone else's mansion claiming it's yours. Have you no shame? Scram, or I'll call the cops. Looking in the direction the guard pointed, there were indeed two people squatting there. From their appearance, they looked like Uncle Dave and Aunt Linda. Tiffany couldn't care less about appearances anymore. She rushed to her parents, and the three of them spoke almost in unison. What the hell is going on? Uncle Dave scratched his hair irritably, his face full of rage. Heaven knows what happened. We were lying on the couch just a moment ago. Suddenly some people barged in, claiming we were squatting in their house, and kicked us out. Aunt Linda was equally indignant. It's so strange. We clearly bought the house ourselves. But that guy had a property deed exactly like ours. The property management must be blind too. We've lived here so long and they didn't recognize us, saying they'd call the police to arrest us. At this point, Aunt Linda's eyes turned red. How can we be so unlucky? At the critical moment, we can't find the deed, and the bank account balance is gone too. When the police came, they treated us like poor relatives of the owner and threw us out like trash. Tiffany, tell me what's happening. Your face. What happened to you, Tiffany? Tiffany didn't even bother answering her mom. She tremblingly pulled out the business card the tycoon had given her and used her dad's phone to call. This was her last hope. She spoke excitedly into the phone. Whatever the other person said made her expression instantly turn joyful. When she hung up, she couldn't help but hug her parents and jump up and down. It's okay. Mom, Dad, there's still hope. Luckily, I saved that old lady yesterday. Her son is Mr. Sterling, the real estate tycoon. They came to me today saying they'd send me abroad to study and make me their daughter-in-law to inherit their fortune. He's coming over to get justice for us and take the house back. Tiffany didn't look like she was lying, but the more I listened, the more wrong it sounded. It was understandable for her parents to stick by her, being blood relatives. But why would a tycoon she met once still hold on to a good impression of her? Before I could figure it out, a Porsche arrived at the community gate. Tiffany was ecstatic, leaving her parents behind to rush forward and welcome them. But as soon as she got close, she was pinned to the ground by two bodyguards. They found a jade pendant in Tiffany's uniform pocket and respectfully handed it to the tycoon. That pendant was the engagement token Tiffany had bragged to me about that morning. Squatting in front of Tiffany, the tycoon looked grim. You have some skills managing to steal my mother's personal item. He stood up, his expression frosty. He glanced coldly at Tiffany, then jerked his chin. The two bodyguards immediately stuffed Tiffany into the car to take her to the police station. Tiffany was completely dumbfounded. Why was the script different again? She argued desperately. Uncle Sterling, I'm not a thief, I'm your future daughter-in-law. Did you forget? You gave me this pendant yourself. Because I cured your mother's decade-long blood clot. You even said I should marry your son, Spencer. Ask him if you don't believe me. Everyone present saw the rear window of the Porsche roll down slowly. A handsome young man poked his head out, looked at Tiffany with extreme disgust, and then actually started vomiting uncontrollably. The tycoon's mouth twitched, and even the bodyguards couldn't help but sneer. They say toads dream of eating swan meat, but today we've really seen it all. Then Tiffany was thrown out because they didn't want her dirtying their car. Tiffany sat paralyzed on the ground, her expression as venomous as if she wanted to drag the whole world down with her. However, just then, Uncle Dave's phone rang abruptly. Thinking the tycoon had changed his mind, Tiffany's face softened instantly. She scrambled up from the ground, snatched the phone, and impatiently put it on speaker. So I heard another piece of good news. Dave. Something happened at the farm. Get back here now. The caller was a villager, one of the shareholders who invested in the farm. His tone was anxious, urging Uncle Dave to return immediately. The trouble must have been serious. After hearing this, Uncle Dave stood there as if struck by lightning, looking like he'd lost his soul. Aunt Linda looked equally miserable. Clearly, she had heard it too. Though her body went limp, she forced herself to follow Uncle Dave back to our hometown. As for Tiffany, with her disheveled hair and an expression hovering between laughing and crying, she looked like a maniac chasing after the couple. I followed them back home. As soon as we reached the village entrance, we saw Uncle Dave's house completely surrounded by villagers. In front of them was a mountain of animal carcasses. Those were the poultry from Uncle Dave's farm. The vet said Uncle Dave had fed the chickens and ducks excessive hormone drugs to make them grow so well, which caused the mass death. My parents weren't surprised at all upon hearing the news. Instead, they wore, "I knew it" expressions. I almost suspected they had been reborn too. But they just scoffed and told me, "Whatever your uncle raises always dies." The fact that things went so smoothly for him meant he was definitely using some underhanded methods. The villagers were furious. Their life savings had gone down the drain because of Uncle Dave's brainless actions. They surrounded Uncle Dave and Aunt Linda, clamoring for compensation. With no other choice, Uncle Dave feebly promised to compensate the villagers, allowing the farce to slowly settle down. However, the fire that seemed extinguished was redirected by Tiffany toward our family. I had never seen Tiffany like this. Her face was twisted, and combined with her ugly appearance, her breaking into my house in the middle of the night was truly bone-chilling. "You bitch. I figured it out. This has everything to do with you, doesn't it?" Tiffany screamed at me viciously. "You deliberately found that fortune teller. Deliberately let me snatch the bead. Deliberately let me be the lucky star. You and that mystic are partners. You just wanted to see me become a joke, right? Sarah, you bitch, you'll die a horrible death." She was ready to perish together with me, rushing at me with a sharp knife. I didn't dodge. Instead, I smiled and told her, "You're right, Tiffany. I am partners with the fortune teller. Because your destiny was too good, it attracted him. He gave me a sum of money to play along with his act." Tiffany stopped in her tracks. I continued, "Now all your fortune has been sucked away by him. Everything you once owned belongs to him. So what's the use of killing me? If you go to jail for this, wouldn't you just be helping the fortune teller even more? So the person you should kill isn't me, it's him." I lifted my wrist to check the time and laughed deliberately. "But it's a pity, time is running out. The fortune teller said once luck is drained, it can't be redeemed if too much time passes. The only way is to take him out to get back what belongs to you." I glanced at her with disdain. "But looking at you now, how could you possibly take him down? Just accept your fate. A lifetime passes quickly." Tiffany finally walked out. She not only left my house but also left her parents. She found out the fortune teller's location and tracked him down. I don't know if she found him right away, but later, I saw a news report. A fortune teller was stabbed 18 times and died on the spot. I scoured the online reports and finally saw the perpetrator's profile in a live broadcast. She hadn't changed at all, still as ugly and defeated as ever. Actually, I lied to Tiffany. Whether the fortune teller died or not, her situation couldn't change, because some things, once lost, are lost forever. I just used Tiffany's unstable, extreme psychology to help me get revenge. I didn't feel any guilt. After all, everyone has to pay the price for their greed. Whether it was coveting that beautiful bead at 12, or lusting after fame and fortune at 18. You can never escape it. Tiffany's final price was being taken away by the police. She was sentenced to life imprisonment for intentional homicide. For her, living behind bars, not having to experience the fickleness of human nature, or care about others' strange looks, might actually be a kind of blessing. When the official verdict came down, I happened to receive my admission letter. It was from my dream school. It was a pity Aunt Linda, who was so sure I wouldn't get into college, couldn't see it. Ever since Tiffany ran away, Uncle Dave's family was completely broke. Countless villagers came to collect debts every day. Forced into a corner, Uncle Dave and Aunt Linda had to sell their house and move deep into the mountains, building a straw hut just to survive. To think they once drove luxury cars and lived in mansions, parading through town. Now they cowered like rats in the street, humiliated. The wheel of fortune really does turn. At that moment, sitting on my doorstep listening to my parents' light-hearted laughter, I suddenly understood the meaning of my rebirth. I think Tiffany must have realized by now that compared to unrealistic pursuits like money, fame, beauty, and ambition, having a healthy body and family sitting idly together is the true symbol of good fortune. The end.